Welcome to Falling into Love, a Westbrooke Falls fall romance by Quinn Westbrooke. Join us in the charming small town of Westbrooke Falls, South Carolina, where autumn leaves aren't the only things falling. When teacher Samone Harper tumbles off a ladder into single father Damon Jefferson's arms, their hearts are about to take an even bigger fall. Sometimes the safest place to land is in love. Prologue. Past Wounds. 2 years ago, Atlanta, Georgia. The morning light caught the beadwork on Samone Harper's wedding dress like captured stars, each crystal telling the story of a dream she'd nurtured since childhood. 2 weeks. In exactly 14 days, she would become Mrs. Marcus Powell in the cathedral where her parents had married 35 years ago, surrounded by 300 guests and a future that made perfect sense. Sami ran her fingers along the ivory silk one more time before closing the garment bag. Her wedding binder lay open on the mahogany dresser, every detail confirmed, every vendor locked in, every timeline perfected. She'd earned her reputation as the most organized third-grade teacher at Riverside Elementary, and she'd brought that same meticulous attention to planning what everyone called the wedding of the year. Her phone buzzed with a text from the venue coordinator. Small question about reception setup. Nothing urgent, but could use clarification when you have a moment. Sami glanced at her watch. She had a few hours before her final dress fitting, and the Grandview Manor was only 20 minutes away. Marcus had mentioned meeting his groomsmen there for lunch to finalize bachelor party details. Maybe she could surprise him, steal a quick kiss before diving back into the beautiful chaos of final preparations. The September afternoon painted Atlanta in shades of gold as she drove through Buckhead, past the stately homes where she and Marcus would raise their future children. Everything was falling into place exactly as she'd envisioned. Stable job, devoted fiancé, picture-perfect wedding, and a marriage built on friendship and shared values rather than the messy complications of overwhelming passion. Grandview Manor's gardens were stunning in the early fall light, the kind of backdrop that would make every photograph look like something from a fairy tale. Sami pushed through the French doors leading to the bridal suite, her heart light with excitement about sharing this moment with the man she was going to spend forever loving. "Marcus, you know you're not supposed to see the venue set up before." The words shattered against what she found. Marcus was there, pressed against the antique vanity where she was supposed to do her hair and makeup in 2 weeks. His hands tangled in familiar blonde curls, kissing Jessica, her maid of honor, her best friend since college, with a desperation that made Sami's chest burn. They broke apart at her sharp intake of breath, Marcus's dark eyes cycling through shock, guilt, and something that looked disturbingly like relief. "Sami." Jessica's voice cracked, mascara already smudged, but she didn't step away from him. "God, this isn't... We didn't want you to find out like this." "Find out what?" The question came out barely above a whisper. The wedding binder slipped from her numb fingers, sending carefully organized vendor contracts across the polished hardwood floor like fallen leaves. Marcus straightened his tie, the silver one she'd helped him pick out to match the bridesmaids' dresses, and ran a hand over his close-cropped hair. "I can't do this anymore, Sami. The wedding, the marriage, all of it. I can't pretend." "Pretend what?" Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, distant and hollow. "That this is enough. That you're..." He struggled with the words, at least having the decency to look ashamed. "You're everything a man should want. You're kind, reliable, successful, beautiful. But I don't feel alive with you. You're safe, Sami, predictable. I need someone who challenges me, who makes me feel like I'm living instead of just existing." The carefully climate-controlled air in the bridal suite felt suddenly thin. "I thought you liked that I was dependable." "I do. I did. But I can't build a life on should." I can't marry someone just because they make sense on paper. His brown eyes held an apology that somehow made everything worse. You deserve someone who sees your stability as a gift, not a limitation. The most devastating part wasn't the betrayal, though that carved through her chest like broken glass. The most devastating part was the relief flooding his expression, as if he'd been holding his breath for months, waiting for an excuse to run. The invitations went out 6 weeks ago, she heard herself say. The deposits, the flowers, I know. I'll handle all the cancellations, call everyone, take care of every detail. You won't have to deal with any of it. No. The word came out stronger than she felt, straightening her spine with something that felt like dignity. I'll handle my own life, thank you very much. She knelt to gather her scattered papers, her hands steadier than they had any right to be. Jessica started to help, but one look from Sami froze her in place. Don't, Sami said quietly. Just don't. Standing with the ruined binder clutched against her chest like armor, she looked at Marcus one last time. This man she'd planned to promise forever to. This man she'd rearranged her entire world around. This man who'd never once looked at her the way he was looking at her best friend. I hope she makes you feel alive, she said, proud that her voice didn't shake. I hope it's worth destroying everything we built. Walking away from the ruins of her carefully planned future, Sami made herself a promise in the golden afternoon light. Never again would she mistake someone's comfort with her predictability for love. Never again would she be anyone's safe choice while they dreamed of something more exciting. Some people, she realized, were meant to be the adventure. Others were meant to be the soft place to land when the adventure was over. She was done being anyone's soft place to land. 1 year ago, Westbrooke Falls, South Carolina. The sound of packing tape echoed through the small house like a funeral dirge as Damon Jefferson sealed another box marked Zahara's room in his careful handwriting. 8 years of marriage, 7 years of fatherhood, all of it being sorted into staying and going piles while his daughter's heart broke in the kitchen. He could hear Zahara's quiet sobs even over the noise of her mother moving through their home like a stranger, collecting pieces of a life she no longer wanted. Daddy, why can't Mama just be happy here with us? Damon looked up to find his 7-year-old daughter in the doorway, her dark curls escaping from the pigtails he'd attempted that morning. She clutched her favorite stuffed elephant, the one Denise had won for her at the county fair when Zahara was 4 and the world still made sense. Come here, baby girl. He opened his arms and she ran to him like she had every day of her life, burying her face against his shoulder. She smelled like the coconut oil he used on her hair and the vanilla cookies they'd baked yesterday, trying to pretend everything was normal. I don't want her to leave, Zahara whispered against his neck. I know. Neither do I. It was the truth, even after everything. Even after months of Denise's increasing restlessness, her complaints about small-town life being suffocating, her weekend trips to Charlotte that had nothing to do with the girlfriends she claimed to be visiting. Denise appeared in the bedroom doorway with another suitcase, her expression carefully neutral. She'd perfected that look over the past month, distant, untouchable, as if she could minimize the damage by simply not acknowledging it. The movers will handle the furniture tomorrow, she said, not meeting either of their eyes. My lawyer will send the custody paperwork next week. Custody paperwork? Damon's arms instinctively tightened around his daughter. They'd discussed this, fought about it until their voices went hoarse, but hearing it stated so clinically made the reality hit like a physical blow. Alternating weekends, holidays, summer visits. Denise's voice remained steady, businesslike. Charlotte has so much more to offer her: museums, cultural programs, educational opportunities she can't get in a town this size. She's 7 years old, Denise. She needs stability and love, not cultural opportunities. She needs exposure to the world beyond this place. Denise gestured around their modest bedroom with its family photos and Zahara's artwork taped to the walls. There's so much more out there than barbershop conversations and church socials and Friday night football games. Don't you want her to experience something bigger? I want her to feel secure and loved. She has that here, only because she doesn't know there's anything else. Denise's carefully constructed mask slipped for just a moment, showing the desperation underneath. I can't breathe in this town anymore, Damon. Every single day is identical. The same faces, the same conversations, the same predictable rhythm. I wake up feeling like I'm suffocating. You have a family here who loves you. Isn't that enough? I can't make it be enough. Her voice cracked. I've tried for 8 years to make it be enough, but I need something more than this life we've built. What about what we need? The question escaped before he could stop it. Denise's face crumpled briefly before she rebuilt her walls. I can't be responsible for your happiness anymore. I can't pretend to be the woman you married, the mother she deserves. Better to admit that now than waste more years trying to force something that isn't working. She knelt in front of Zahara, who pressed closer to Damon's chest, small hands gripping his shirt like a lifeline. I love you more than anything in this world, Denise whispered, her voice finally showing cracks. Don't you ever doubt that, baby girl. But Mama has to go find who she's supposed to be. I don't want you to find yourself, Zahara said, the words muffled against Damon's shoulder. I want you to stay lost and come home. Denise's composure shattered for just a moment, one heartbroken sob escaping before she pulled herself together. She kissed Zahara's forehead, her lips lingering like she was trying to memorize the feeling, then stood and squeezed Damon's shoulder with the same finality. I'll call soon, she promised, but they all knew soon would stretch into weeks, then months, then the occasional holiday card. The front door closed behind her with a soft click that somehow sounded louder than slamming would have. Damon held his daughter while she cried, processing the reality that he'd somehow not been enough to keep his family together. The house felt cavernous around them, full of spaces where Denise's laughter used to live, where her presence had made everything feel complete. Are you going to leave me too? Zahara asked eventually, her voice small and terrified in a way that broke something fundamental in his chest. Never, he said fiercely, the word carrying the weight of an oath. I will never, ever leave you, Zahara. We're going to be okay, just the two of us. We're going to take care of each other, and we're going to build something beautiful together. But as he rocked his heartbroken daughter in the ruins of their family home, Damon made his own silent promise. He would never again let anyone close enough to destroy what little stability they had managed to rebuild. Zahara had already lost one parent to someone else's need for something more exciting, something better, something beyond what their small-town life could offer. She would never lose another parent to his poor judgment in matters of the heart. Some people weren't meant for happily ever after. Some families weren't strong enough to survive when love wasn't enough to anchor someone who needed to fly. Better to accept that truth and build something solid with just the two of them than to keep reaching for dreams that would inevitably slip away, taking pieces of their hearts with them. Present day, 6 months later. The autumn harvest decorations hung like promises throughout the empty hallways of Westbrooke Falls Elementary, and neither Samone Harper nor Damon Jefferson had any idea that their carefully constructed walls were about to come tumbling down like leaves in an October storm.